Hello everyone, Arteo here, and today we're back with Cabin Fever. Now, last time we left off with a girl named Mallory that we found out in the rain, and we brought her into our house, we treated her wounds, and we let her stay the night. So without further ado, let's see what happens next. I woke, as usual, to the happy sound of a rooster crowing in the garden. The sky was clear, and the early morning sun was bright and cheery. You'd think a morning like that would have put me in a great mood, but nope. All night my dreams had revolved around strange bugs infesting the cabin, hordes of them squirming inside through every crack. I must have been tense all night because my neck had a painful kink in it. I had definitely woken up on the proverbial wrong side of the bed. I suppose I'd forgotten about my house guest, or at least I hadn't remembered to think about her yet. I was busy making a list in my head of the work I needed to get done today. That's when the smoke alarm started shrieking. I bolted upright in bed. There was someone in my house, and I had to let her in. And yep, I could definitely smell something burning. I rushed to put on some real daytime clothes and barreled downstairs. Mallory stood in the kitchen, looking mortified. A little smoke hung in the air, but I didn't see any flames. Phew. Grabbing a chair, I jumped up to silence the smoke alarm.
Thank you. I'm really so sorry. I tried wafting a dish towel at it, but the alarm just wouldn't stop. I didn't wake you, did I? Oh.
I wasn't really listening to her. I was too busy creating space between us and also looking for the source of the smoke. There it was, a pan with a charred black mass sitting in it. I didn't know what she'd burned, but she'd really burned it. What is that?
Oh, I thought I'd make you breakfast as a thank you. My mom used to have the best recipe for potato pancakes that would always fuel me for the day. But these... well, I'm not totally sure what happened. I never used a stove like yours before, so this batch got a little... overdone. Maybe I can scrape off the burnt part. You know what? Forget I said that. It's all burnt part. I'll just clean up my mess and then I'll make you a new batch. And I will definitely be more careful this time.
Hang on, did you say potato pancakes?
They're the best. It's too bad this first batch didn't turn out because I spent all morning digging up the potatoes, washing them, peeling them. They were so tiny it took extra long, and I was worried you'd wake up before I could finish. Luckily, I've got some other treats on the go as well, so you're not going to starve. Just let me turn on the toaster real quick.
She turned, reaching for the toaster handle, but the microwave was running and the kettle was boiling and... Wait! Stop! Too late. She overloaded the solar panels inverter, and just like that, the kettle, microwave, toaster, and kitchen lights all shut off. Why did you do that? Mallory, having plated the overdone pancakes for some reason, dropped the plate in alarm. It smashed, flinging shards of itself across the floor. The blackened pancakes bounced like rocks. Sad potato rocks.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make you some breakfast. I didn't mean to cause so much trouble. I'll clean this up.
I sighed in frustration. All I had wanted was to make some coffee and sit down at my computer, just like every other morning. I couldn't do that now, because I had to get the power sorted and check to make sure she hadn't completely destroyed my precious garden.
Are you angry with me?
How was I supposed to answer that? Well, in all fairness, it's not her fault. She didn't know anything, so it's not that big of a deal. I was definitely upset. I definitely didn't like the situation, but it wasn't like she'd intentionally ruined my potatoes. She'd only been so audacious as to dig them up without permission. Long before they were ready. Even if I'd specifically told her not to touch anything. Maybe I should be more angry about this. I looked away. I'm just not a breakfast person.
I'm really sorry. I just wanted to do something nice as a thank you for letting me stay here. I promise, I'll fix everything and then I'll just get ready to leave.
Sure, whatever. I turned away and went to haul my work gloves and oh my god, I cannot read! I turned away and went to haul on my work gloves and my boots. That's why that was just a messy sentence. I'll be out in the yard for a while. I went out, and as I pulled the back door shut behind me, I heard a soft sound from the kitchen, like a heavy sigh or a stifled sob. Wait, was she crying? What did I get myself into? For real, I can't believe. I continued muttering grumpily to myself as I strode out into the garden. Then I took a deep breath of fresh, cold air. It had an autumn bite to it, but the sun was warm. I felt instantly calmer. Ah, well, she'll be gone soon anyway. I took my time that morning, dealing with the power issue and making the usual rounds. Happy hens? Check. Busy beehive? Check. I did a rough count of the firewood in my shed, then made my way back to the front of the cabin. I stopped where I saw the bloody animal trap where Mallory had gotten hurt the night before. Damn, that had to have been painful. I felt pretty bad. The traps were only supposed to be wards, something to keep my bubble a little safer from dangerous wildlife. I'd never meant for anyone to get hurt. I looked at the trap, wondering if I should rethink my setup. Nah, it's fine. I decided to leave it. The traps were there for a reason after all. And what happened to Mallory was more of a freak accident than anything else. I knew where the traps were, and that was the most important thing. Anyone unfamiliar with them shouldn't be creeping around here anyway. Confident in my decision, I carried on walking down into the garden. Right away, I could see where Mallory had dug up breakfast. I surveyed the overturned earth with a heavy heart, noticing a handful of small potatoes uprooted and abandoned. Well, I could always plant something new here. It was the right time of year for garlic. The sun had already climbed high into the sky, and I was feeling almost warm enough to peel off my sweater. I figured I should probably go inside. Maybe eat something, check in on poor Mallory, and get to work on my computer. Right as I went inside, I kicked off my boots, and something didn't feel right. It took me a moment to realize the mess was gone. There were no brooms on the floor, no garbage bags waiting to go out, no scattered crumbs or dust bunny cities. Everything looked so clean. Also, what's a dust bunny city? Is that like those big clumps of like dust bunnies that like have like a big cloud around them in the corner? I've seen those. I didn't know they were called dust bunny cities. That's kind of funny. It literally sparkled, but how? And why? Had Mallory done all this just to make up for that little breakfast fiasco? Whoa, this is really nice. Like really, really nice. I looked around at all she'd done. I started to feel like a bit of an ass. I figured I should apologize. But where was she? She hadn't left already, had she? And I heard something coming from the bathroom. Oh boy. The sound of splashing water and a small voice humming a happy tune. My heart sank. She couldn't. She wouldn't. Without thinking, I threw open the bathroom door. Oh boy. Future Arteo, if you have to censor something, I'm sorry. Mallory. Oh my god! Yup. Yeah, I can't show that on YouTube. Oops. Oh man, that's kind of funny though. Oh man. Yep, I forgot. So, yeah, that little thing I flicked the first episode. Yeah, I forgot about that. I spaced on that. Whoops! Oh well, have fun editing that. Anyway, Mallory stood in front of the tub, fully nude and glistening wet. She was like some sort of unicorn girl, her skin so alabaster and her pale sunken hair flowing down her back. She was beautiful, shimmering, and I knew I shouldn't have been thinking about that or looking at her, but her breasts were bare and her stomach was there and her hips were. We stared at each other, both of us shocked at my intrusion. Then my brain kicked back into gear and I tore my gaze away from her, but it was too late. I had seen everything, including the tub full of water. What are you doing?
I was just taking a bath.
I pointed in the direction of the bathtub, keeping my eyes fixed on the doorframe. That's my water supply!
It's still warm if you want to use it.
What? Did she not get it? That's my water supply! My fresh water, my drinking water, that's my everything water! What were you thinking? Why did you use so much? Panic was really setting in now. What if she'd run the cistern dry? I'd have almost nothing until the next rainfall. And who knows when that would be?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I really didn't know.
I'd never run out of water before, but that was because I'd always been so careful. This could be the very day I had so deeply feared would come. How do you survive this way? It's like you're constantly wasting things. Is this why you were out in the rain last night? Did your bubble decide to kick you out because you don't know how to think before you act? Her mouth popped open. I immediately felt bad for shouting. Damn, I was really in a bad mood today. Just finish up here. And don't drain that water, okay? I'll repurpose it for laundry or something. I didn't want to acknowledge my own anger, or the tears that had sprung into her eyes at what I had last said. Oh my god, at what I had said. In any case, I needed to check the rain barrels. Like, right that second. I turned my back on her and walked away. For the rest of the afternoon, I sat in my computer, waiting for Mallory to leave. I just couldn't stop thinking about her. And by that I mean I couldn't stop thinking about how naive, careless, and wasteful she was. Nothing to do with her shimmering eyes, or how sweet she seemed to be even when everything else was horrible. Nope. The good news was that I checked the rain barrels, and the situation wasn't as dire as I feared. As long as it rained sometime again in the next few weeks, we'd be okay. Still, I sat at my computer for a long time, entirely unable to focus on my work. When Mallory finally reappeared, she was holding the cardboard box of my old clothes. For some reason, she was still only wearing a bath towel. That made me feel all sorts of uncomfortable feelings, and I tried extra hard to keep my eyes on my computer screen. I pretended to type. I noticed the box had more clothing in it than before. I saw some of my favorites peeking out. Let's ask her. I cleared my throat loudly, and Mallory looked at me. What are you doing with those clothes?
Oh, I was just going to go through them and sort out what's good to wear. I hope that's okay.
Huh, that didn't sound too worrisome. Maybe she was finally getting ready to go. Right. You're welcome to take anything that doesn't fit me anymore. I'm sure you could use some warmer things to wear out there on your travels. I turned quickly back to my computer, hoping I hadn't hurt her feelings with my not-so-subtle reminder that I didn't want her there. Why do you care about her feelings? Asked my brain. You already told her she's not welcome. She'll be gone soon either way. I hyper-focused on my screen, and another couple hours I still had nothing done. Suddenly it was dark out, and I was starving. And Mallory still hadn't left. In fact, she was in the kitchen, and there were nice, savory smells wafting my way. I logged off and shut down my computer, quickly, but casually, making my way over to her. I found her tending to 3 separate pots on the stove, all of them simmering and steaming pleasantly. How dare she? Nothing was burning this time either, which made me feel annoying feelings like impressed and kind of excited to eat that. God, don't you just hate those feelings? Excited to eat something? Awful, awful feeling. Mallory noticed me standing there and smiled way too brightly.
Oh, good, you're finished working. That's perfect because supper is ready.
She started dishing out the oddly fancy-looking meal on 2 large plates. What is all this?
It's all made from freeze-dried proteins and grains I found in the pantry, and some spices, which by the way make all the difference when it comes to flavoring a dish. Oh, and I only used things that were already open, so I hope I didn't overstep again. I can tell you work really hard, and I know I made a mess of things, and I just really wanted to make it up to you.
It's not that I minded that mess. Anyway.
I'm determined to have a net positive impact here.
She thought I'd been nice? I was suddenly very concerned about how low the bar was for her. I also couldn't help feeling a little charmed by her determination. I wanted to let her know that I did, actually, appreciate her efforts. Well, this does look incredible, and by the smell of it, I'm pretty sure I'll be licking these plates clean. Ugh. You did wash your hands before you started, right?
Yes, silly. And I still don't have any symptoms of any sicknesses either. So come on, let's eat. I want you to enjoy it while it's hot.
There was something so endearing in the simplicity of her delight. I smiled as I took my plate and sat down at the far end of the table, away from her. We ate in silence. The food was really delicious. I wouldn't have guessed she'd had it in her, not based on that morning. I wonder if I should try and get some answers out of her now, I thought, and cleared my throat. How's your leg feeling?
It's not too bad.
I should probably take a look at it after supper. Clean it up and put a fresh bandage on it. And then, I suppose we should talk about getting you home?
Right. Home.
I mean, I don't know if you have a family or a group or whatever, or if you're on your own like me, but you don't exactly look like you, live in the forest. So where are you headed? She lifted one shoulder, visibly uncertain. Surely there must be someone, somewhere.
I'll figure something out.
Hang on, no. I want to make sure you're going to be okay.
I thought you just wanted me to leave.
Ideally, I'd like to know at least something about your situation. Maybe I could help you. She looked away.
That's sweet of you, but I'm sorry. I'm just not ready to talk about it.
Alright. I know it says okay, but that's... Shut up. We fell quiet once more, just the awkward scrape of forks on the plates to fill the silence. I considered her as she sat across from me. So beautiful it was, as if she were I considered her as she sat across from me. So beautiful it was as if she were a digital painting. Can I just ask one more question? Why are you still wearing that towel? She looked at me blankly. The last few morsels of food, balanced on her fork, fell back onto her plate. She glanced down at herself, then up again, hands clapping against the side of her face.
What? You mean I've been wearing this the whole time?
Oh, she didn't know? Oh, okay.
Oh, I can't believe it. How do I forget these things? Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my gosh.
I couldn't help laughing. I felt like I was finally catching on. She was a bit of a space case, that was all. And her mannerisms made it a sort of adorable.
I'll be back to clean up as soon as I'm decent.
Her efforts to flee were quickly hampered by her leg. She ended up limping away in search of her clothes, mumbling exacerbably under her breath. That's when it hit me. I hadn't even considered how much pain she must have been in as she cooked and cleaned and tried so hard to pay me back. Pay me back for what, though? I'd only wanted to help, and I hadn't even done a great job of it. And now I was trying to send her away knowing full well she had nowhere to go. No, I couldn't do that. And now I feel like I had to make things up to her. I tidied up quickly from supper and returned to my computer, where I booted up my 3D printer. I didn't use the thing often, but it was there for emergencies, and this seemed urgent enough. I managed to find a design that was close to what I'd imagined, and set everything up and stood back to watch the printer do its thing. Just then, Mallory emerged wearing her dress.
Oh, you already cleaned up. I guess that's it then.
She stood beside the table, leaning on it for support. I stood in front of the printer while it worked. I didn't know what to say, so I decided to let words come out of my mouth. You should stay. Also, I'm sorry, I've been a total asshat to you. She looked up at me, nervously clutching the sides of her dress in her tiny hands. Her mouth opened and closed like she didn't know what to say either, so I just kept going. It was kind of a shock to have you show up here. I haven't had anyone visit, ever, because this has always been my space. My family's space. I guess I felt sort of invaded. But now I realize that's stupid. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't feel right making you leave when you're clearly in a bad spot. I have the means to help you, and there's no reason why I shouldn't. If you want to leave, that's fine, but there's no rush. Cool? She smiled softly, her eyes seeming to glitter.
Cool.
Behind me, the 3D printer finished its work. I turned around to take the sheet of gauze with the cute potato pattern I'd printed, hoping it would amuse her and lighten the mood. Can I redress your leg now? The pattern on the gauze made her giggle, and she nodded and sat down, propping her leg up. I prepared once again for the uncomfortable closeness that was necessary for this task. I scrubbed my hands, put on a mask and a pair of gloves, and went to supply her with the first aid kit. We chatted idly as I cleaned and packed her wound. Afterwards, I got her set up on the couch and bid her a good night. I wasn't exactly tired, but I figured it was better to leave things off on a pleasant note, before things got awkward again. I climbed up the stairs to my loft and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling above me. I thought about how angry I'd been with her actions that morning. I thought about how scared and uncomfortable I'd felt throughout the day. How was it that now, a matter of hours later, I could feel such a gentle fondness for the way the same person who'd made me so upset? Moody hermit, I accused myself. Yeah, you're probably right, I thought in reply. And with that, I closed my eyes and waited for sleep. Chapter 4. Growth. And that's where I'll leave it, because I'm sure you don't want to sit through another 20 minutes of me babbling. Although, if you have sat through there, consider subscribing, liking my video, and commenting, and just thank you for enjoying the video. And thank you for dealing with my stupid reading skills. Anyway, I'm been Arteo, and I'll see you guys next time.